to Joao Pedro, lovely first touch. Joao Pedro! Joao Pedro!
Joao Pedro is Chelsea's newest star.
Caicedo, Joao Pedro, and he does find the back of the net this time, and it falls to Joao Pedro. He could have opened his account a couple of minutes ago. He does on this occasion.
Against Ignacio, away by Thiago Silva. Joao Pedro lines one up. Oh, finds the corner brilliantly. Well, you couldn't write it.
Since arriving at Stamford Bridge in the summer of 2025, the young Brazilian forward has been nothing short of sensational.
I could be top striker in the world, so every day when I go to the pitch or in the gym, I try to improve myself.
And intensity, that's what Joao brings. He's obviously an exceptional football player. He is all or nothing, Joao. He's exceptional football player.
Chelsea spent big to bring him in, and many people wondered why so much money was spent given the fact that they had just signed Delap and already had Jackson. But Joao Pedro showed that he's different. He showed that he's a level above those guys, and he's been worth every penny. He was a key figure in Chelsea's FIFA Club World Cup win, scoring 3 goals, 2 against his old team Fluminense in the semi-final, and then a beautiful chip in the final against the Croissant lovers. That made him a champion just days after signing. The man had literally helped Chelsea become world champions before he had even seen the training facilities.
And then you get here, you make an instant impact, and you start your trajectory here at Chelsea with a title. I mean, your first title.
Yeah, my first title.
In the Premier League, it didn't take him long either.
Scoring goals from the moment he arrived in the summer. And there is Joao Pedro! He continues to dazzle for the Blues!
But it's more than just the goals. Joao Pedro plays with the confidence and flair that you expect from a Chelsea star. The Blues have always had a player that has this footballing arrogance. Players who are incredibly confident in their abilities, and he's continuing that tradition. He's tall, great with his feet, and can play anywhere across the front line. He brings creativity and energy.
For sure he gives us quality. In the last third, he has lots of quality that previously probably we lack a little bit. It's quality. He gives us lots of quality inside the box, especially against teams that they are low block. We need that quality with the small space, and Joao gives us that.
He can score, but he can also create for others. Still, his rise at Chelsea is only a part of the story. To really understand how he got here, we need to look back at the journey that shaped him. From Brazil, to Watford, to Brighton, and now to the Bridge. This is the story of Joao Pedro.
Rose, great ball for Pedro, it's opened up, Pedro!
Now Wilmot. Joao Pedro!
For Chelsea, Joao Pedro!
What a signing the Brazilian has turned out to be!
Joao Pedro was born on September 26, 2001 in Ribeirão Preto, a city in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Football was in his blood. His dad, Chicão, had been a professional player too, but life took a rough turn when he ended up in prison while Joao was still very young. That meant that Joao Pedro grew up mostly with his mom, Flavia, who backed his dream of playing football all the way. She even moved with him to Rio de Janeiro so he could join the academy at Fluminense, one of Brazil's biggest clubs. At first, Joao Pedro actually played as a defensive midfielder, which is pretty hard to picture now, but coaches quickly realized that he had too much skill and creativity to be stuck that far back. He's not Casemiro. Slowly, he was moved up the pitch, first as an attacking midfielder and then finally as a striker. That change gave him a mix of skills, the vision and passing of a midfielder with the finishing instinct of a striker. By his late teens, Joao was already turning heads. Even before he made his professional debut, European clubs were watching closely. In 2018, when he was just 17, Watford agreed a deal to bring him to England once he turned 18. But before leaving Brazil, he gave Fluminense fans a real show of what he could do. He debuted for the senior team in March of 2019 against Flamengo, and not long after, he went on a hot streak, scoring 7 goals in 4 games, including a hat-trick in the Copa Sudamericana match against Atlético Nacional. And keep in mind, he was still only 17. By the time he left for England, Joao Pedro had 10 goals in 36 games for Fluminense, a pretty impressive record for someone his age. Those performances made him one of Brazil's Brazil's youngest talents. He was still the skinny kid with braces, but already playing like a pro. Fans at Fluminense were sad to see him go, but they knew that Europe was his next step. Joao himself spoke about how grateful he was to the club and the supporters. He also noted that he was both excited and a little nervous about the move. At just 18, he was packing his bags for Watford, ready to take on a whole new challenge. He was carrying his family's hopes and everything that he had learned at Fluminense with him. Joao Pedro moved to England in January of 2020, joining Watford as a young player that most fans didn't even know much about. It was a huge change. We're talking about a new country, new league, and a very different type of football. To make things harder, COVID-19 hit soon afterwards, shutting down games and normal life. But once Watford sorted out his work permit at the end of 2019, Joao Pedro started to get his first chances on the pitch. At this point, Watford were having a very tough season and actually ended up getting relegated. Joao Pedro only made a few substitute appearances late in the campaign, but it gave him his first taste of English football. It was the next year though, in the Championship, where he really started to shine. On his 19th birthday, September 26, 2020, he scored his very first Watford goal, the only goal in a derby win over Luton Town.
On the outside of Pearson, drives it across. João Pedro! João Pedro, what a time to score your first goal for Watford.
Not long after, he hit a rocket against Derby County to show that he could score from distance too.
Good turn. Wilmot's continued into the penalty. Pedro goes for goal! What a goal! What a goal from João Pedro!
By the end of the season, he had 9 goals in 38 games, helping Watford bounce straight back to the Premier League. Yes, on paper those might look like Hoyland numbers, but I actually think the stats are quite impressive given that he was a teenager in a very tough league. In the Premier League in the 2021-2022 season, Joao just kept progressing. He scored his first top-flight goal against Manchester United in a 4-1 win.
Pedro again! Would you believe it? That seals the victory!
A couple of months later, he rescued a point with a late equalizer against Newcastle.
An invited cross as well, and it is an equaliser. João Pedro has got it.
Sadly though, Watford were relegated again, but Joao Pedro had been one of their few bright sparks. At just 20 years old, he was already one of the most exciting players in their squad. He was the only one driving at defenders and actually creating chances. By the 2022-2023 season, Watford trusted him so much that he even wore the captain's armband that time, which is not something you often see from a 21-year-old. Over the 4 seasons with the Hornets, Joao Pedro racked up 109 games and 24 goals. Again, those numbers might not sound crazy, but remember, he was playing in a struggling team, and yet he still managed to stand out. By the end of that season, it was pretty clear that he was outgrowing Watford. Bigger clubs were watching closely, and Watford knew it was only a matter of time before he made the next step. So in May of 2023, Brighton and Hove Albion stepped in and signed him for around £30 million, their record transfer at the time.
Brighton have agreed a deal in principle to sign João Pedro from Watford. It's expected to be a club record fee for Brighton.
For Brighton, who had been climbing the Premier League ladder with smart scouting and very expansive football, spending that much on a 21-year-old showed just how serious they were. They used a data analytical approach, and their numbers suggested that Joao Pedro could be a star. For the Brazilian, it was the perfect chance. A bigger stage, a manager who trusted young talents, and a style of football that really suited his skills. From the moment he arrived on the South Coast, he looked right at home. De Zerbi, who was Brighton's coach at the time, backed him straight away.
A goal and an assist for the club record signing Joao Pedro. How happy are you with the impact he's had so far?
Joao Pedro is a great player.
And Joao Pedro didn't disappoint. On the first day of the new Premier League season, he made his debut and scored a penalty in a 4-1 win over Luton Town.
Joao Pedro to score on his Albion debut. Smartly done from Pedro, he beats Kaminski.
This guy loves stat padding against Luton, by the way. Scoring on your debut is every striker's dream, and for Joao, it lifted all the pressure of his price tag, and immediately won the Brighton fans over. That season turned out to be historic for the club. Brighton were playing in Europe for the first time ever, competing in the Europa League. And Joao Pedro, well, he was the face of that adventure. On September 21st, 2023, he wrote his name into the history books by scoring Brighton's first ever European goals. 2 penalties against AEK Athens.
Have a penalty in a moment. Pedro steps up and slides it in. Being stuttered runner. Pedro perfect from the spot again.
Now, unfortunately, Brighton lost, but Joao Pedro's brace meant a lot.
But can you put this moment into words?
It's brilliant, this moment for me. This is when I was young, I was dreaming for this moment. to help their team to play.
It proved that he could handle the pressure of big nights, and it also proved that the price tag that was paid for him was justified. And the great thing was that he didn't stop there. He went on to score 6 goals in the group stage, finishing as the competition's top goal scorer at that phase. For a team that was just starting its European journey, it was pretty incredible to see a 21-year-old leading the way. In the Premier League, Joao was just as important. He gave Brighton a spark whenever he was on the pitch, linking up with Mitoma and Evan Ferguson. By the way, what happened to this guy? He had like £100 million price tag, and now he's eating lasagnas at Roma in Italy. But I digress. Joao Pedro wasn't just a poacher. He was someone that could drop deep, hold up the ball, and create for others. But he did have this knack for getting goals. We saw it on August 24th, 2024, when he scored a dramatic stoppage time winner against Manchester United.
For the Albion, Adingra. Oh, he digs it across, should be the match-winning moment. Pedro! Brighton have won it in added time.
The Amex Stadium erupted, and Joao Pedro's reputation as a clutch player only grew stronger. To be fair, I don't know why they're celebrating this hard. Brighton are significantly better than Manchester United these days. Still a clutch goal though, even though it came against a relegation level team. His consistency was good to see. By the end of the 2023-2024 season, Joao Pedro had scored 19 goals in all competitions, making him Brighton's joint top scorer. 9 of those came in the Premier League, 6 in Europe, and the rest in domestic cups. For a player in his first season at a new club, it was a huge bit of success. Brighton fans could feel that they had something special. A forward who wasn't just fearless, but who was also creative and reliable. Then of course in the following season, the one where he scored the winner against United, he ended up hitting double-digit goals again, showing that he wasn't a one-season wonder. Unfortunately though, that season wasn't all smooth sailing. In April, he picked up a red card against Brentford after clashing with Nathan Collins. He flicked his hand towards the defender's face. That got him a 3-game ban. It was a reminder that he still had things to learn about discipline. Then in May of 2025, Brighton left him out of the squad for a couple of matches because he got into a fight in training. Now, not a lot of details came out from this incident, but The Athletic did verify that there was a bust-up in training. As a result, transfer rumors already began swirling. People assumed there was a big move coming. Even with those bumps though, his time at Brighton was nothing but a success. He scored goals for them in Europe, he delivered big moments in the league, and he carried himself like a star. Like I said, in 2 seasons with the club, he racked up 30 goals and 10 assists. Pretty good numbers for someone who arrived as a raw 21-year-old. And he wasn't always starting games at Brighton. More importantly though, he proved that he could thrive in a system that asked him to do more than just finish chances. He became way more sharper. He now had Premier League experience, and he just looked more confident. By the summer of 2025, everyone knew that Joao Pedro was ready to take another step up. The Seagulls had given him the platform, and he'd taken full advantage. The only question left was which big club would make the move. And in typical fashion, it was Chelsea that were waiting to pounce on yet another Brighton talent.
But we start with some significant breaking transfer news from Chelsea, who have now signed forward Joao Pedro from Brighton in a deal worth up to £60 million.
I think Chelsea is a big club, and my dream always was to play for a big club, to win trophies.
On July 2nd, 2025, Chelsea made it official. Joao Pedro was a blue. You can make it official too. Just go to buygamejerseys.com and pick up your own Chelsea jersey. Use code PETTALKS at checkout for a discount. The club handed him a contract that runs until 2033 and paid close to £60 million to get him. A huge show of faith in a 23-year-old. For Joao, it was the biggest move of his life. He kept the number 20 shirt he wore at Watford and Brighton, a small detail that gave him some continuity as he stepped into one of the biggest clubs in the world. You guys know how superstitious footballers are. Now the timing couldn't have been more crazy. Literally just days after signing, Chelsea flew him out to the United States for the FIFA Club World Cup. Joao barely had time to settle in before being thrown into the mix. In only his second day as a Chelsea player, he came off the bench in the quarterfinal against Palmeiras and helped the team to a 2-1 win. A new club, new teammates, and already playing knockout football. Yet Joao Pedro looked like he had been playing for the team for years. The real magic from him though came a few days later in the semi-final against Fluminense, his boyhood club. With Liam Delap suspended and Maresca having no faith in Jackson, Joao was asked to start. Honestly, it felt like something out of a Netflix movie. He scored 2 magical goals against the team that raised him, giving Chelsea the win and a place in the final. Being a good guy, he refused to celebrate and even apologized to the Fluminense fans after the match.
This tournament is very important for them. I can just say sorry, but I have to be professional. I play for Chelsea.
A little bit woke if you ask me, but I get it considering his journey. He said he still loved the club and he hoped to return there one day. That honesty and respect pretty much shows the kind of person he is. He's very competitive on the pitch, but he's also humble and thoughtful off of it. But what's crazy is that the story didn't stop there. In the final against the Baguette Warriors, Joao Pedro scored again, sealing a 3-0 win for Chelsea.
Joao Pedro, it's 3 and Chelsea are running away with the FIFA Club World Cup final. 3 goals in 4.
In his very first week at the club, he had scored 3 goals, lifted a trophy, and had even been named the player of the match in the semi-final. While it takes some of these big signings days, even months to settle in, this man hit the ground running. Even Chelsea legend Thiago Silva, who had left the club for Fluminense, called João Pedro special. Back in England, João Pedro carried that momentum into the new Premier League season. In just his second game, he was already off the mark against West Ham, getting both his first league goal for Chelsea and his first assist. He just slotted into the attack seamlessly, working hard off the ball, linking up with the likes of Estevao and Pedro Neto. Chelsea fans really went from watching Madueke run out of bounds to Joao Pedro and Estevao. What an upgrade. Maresca clearly trusts him too, because Joao Pedro brings this energy and directness to Chelsea's forward line. He's not afraid to take defenders on. He presses with intensity. And of course, he's always had that striker's instinct of being in the right place at the right time. And signing him on such a long deal fits Chelsea's new vision. Lock down young stars who can grow into the future of the club. Now, Joao's story at Chelsea is just the beginning, but what a beginning it's been. From a kid joining Fluminense's academy at 9 years old, to surviving the grind at Watford, to shining in Europe with Brighton, and now scoring goals on one of the biggest stages in football. His journey is nothing short of inspiring, and he's also shown that he can adapt to anything. New countries, new systems, new expectations. And at Stamford Bridge, he really has the platform to take his career to the next level. Chelsea supporters are already dreaming big with him. Every time he gets the ball, there's a sense that something can happen. He's brought flair, goals. At just 23 years old, the future is wide open, and many believe that he will be a central piece to the club's revival. You can see it in the way he carries himself on the pitch and even his responses in interviews.